Beta robotics is basically a name of a study that involves designing, building, and creating the application of your robots. A robot is any machine that can perform a task that is done by a human, but as we discussed in our last class, that what's the difference between human and robots, we have discussed that quite briefly. Robots are actually programmed to do any task of a human and they can do it even efficiently. We discussed it regarding the modern era and regarding the process of automation, that it is the ability to operate your data automatically, and as the world is growing faster, we are going towards the automation, as different companies and automobile companies are creating machineries and setups so that they do not need manual power, they do not need labor. So these machines and robots can be used to make their task easy. They can automate the process. Robots are normally automated with the help of a microprocessor and sensors. What are sensors? Samples are sensors are those that sense data from your surrounding and send it to your microprocessor. However, there can be some advantages and disadvantages of a sense robot, right? Well, first of all, it can be that it can work on the tasks that are dangerous for humans. It do not needs rest. It can improve a person's quality of life because a person do not need to work repeatedly, and it is even not prone to the errors that a human can make. However, the disadvantage can be that it is somehow replacing all of the human jobs. It can be paired with your artificial intelligence so that it can learn. It learns learning from past experiences. That is what machine learning is. And machine can learn itself. It also requires a constant supply of power, so it could be expensive, and designing and building of a robot can be expensive too. So, just after the robotics, let's start this prosthetic limbs. And the use of prosthetic limbs in humans is to replace those that have been lost, maybe in an accident or in a medical practice. The use of prosthetics is now the further development of robotics. This is one of the areas in your hospital and medicines, and they can be connected to your human mind. This is basically for those patients that may have lost their hands or they have lost their legs and they are not able to move properly, because all of our body is obviously created by Allah Almighty, and uh, there is no replacement for our hands and legs, right? But similarly, there is one of the use of robotics in prosthetic limbs, that they are able to replace the human body, but not completely. They are just helping the human to move, or they can allow. They are basically trained in a way that their movement is being controlled by our brain. This is one of the adapting technology in the medical when it comes to robotics. I can also take the example of nanorobots as well. In terms of nanorobots, these are basically robots that are scaled down to microscopic size. That means that now they have the ability to prove extremely useful in medical procedures. Like, for example, a basic example of that is that we put nanorobots into human blood streams to track down and eliminate certain medical conditions. Like, what is actually going in our body, we do not know it exactly. So what do we do in this medical industry, that we passes these nano robots through our blood in surgical procedures so that we could know that what is the best place for the surgery, or what is the problem that is being caused with this patient. So nanorobots could be used in treating cancer treatments, and they can save the people's life as well. In your 13.7, we are going to discuss regarding this computer assisted translations, and computer assisted translations is one of the example of a Google Translate as well. Like, for example, like this one right in front of you, you can see that this is a computer assisted translation. And if I want to translate anything, let's write something here to check. Like I have written here, where are you? And it is translating it into any of the language that you want to. So in terms of a computer assisted translation, it is the ability to translate from one language to another. This is also provided to you by Google. This provides you a greater level of communication. So in different parts of the world, you can use this tool to communicate with each other. They have been developed to help and support each other and to increase human productivity and accuracy. What are certain advantages and disadvantages of this software? They can be that people can get instant translation of one document from one language to another, that can save time and improve communication as well. Disadvantage can be that the accuracy of these translation softwares are persistent. That means that they are not always accurate when it comes to a translation. Another advantage is that it can be used to reduce error that may be present in your manual translation methods. Disadvantage can be that some people might find it difficult to find their specific keywords and terms, and translation tools are quite widely available and they are also inexpensive. That is one of the advantage. But how do this translation work? These translations are basically database driven software that matches words to those that are in its database, and it is capable of using those grammatical rules to correct out or to crave out a correct piece of sentence that is from a different language into different language. For example, if I'm converting from English to Chinese or any other language, it has all of the data stored in that, so it is easy to convert. So am I clear till here? Do you have any queries?
No, sir.
Foreign language websites are always converted into the language of your choice with the help of a Google Chrome or a Google Translate, but do not write these company names into your exam. You just need to understand that how they are assisting you. Spell check is one of the method to check that if you are writing the correct spelling or not. So the basic concept should be clear of these terms. You do not need to study them in depth. Like what are the advantage, disadvantages, like all of the things that I'm going through, these are important. Let's take an example of a hologram or a holographic image. So holographic imaging is basically known as a hologram as well. On right corner of this, you can basically see an hologram image. These are basically 3D images that is created using laser beams and mirrors. The laser beam is split up by reflecting the different mirrors and they are combined together. Hologram can be a 2D image that appears to look as 3D as it is moved. That's it. What can be certain advantages and disadvantages? Advantages can be that they do not require 3D classes, they do not require 3D effects, they are very difficult to replicate, so can be useful as a security measure. And if it is much easier to see, so when it comes to a 3D hologram, you can actually witness the 3D depth of that. However, some certain disadvantages can be that it could be expensive to create and a lot of data needs to be stored in order to create these holograms, and they are quite expensive as well. Now, when it comes to security, holographic images are used on many items around the world. They are mostly used on your credit cards, on your currency, and other secure documents as well, such as you can take the example of a driving license or a passport as well. Now, this holographic images are basically used as a method of security as well because they cannot be replicated. Holographic image basically adds an extra layer of security to sensitive or important information, and since they cannot be replicated, it can be a great way for your security measures. Like right in front of you, you can see that there is a hologram used on a currency. You can see that this holographic image is identifying that this is the correct currency. So examples like these can also help you out in rectifying your authenticity. The use of holograms can also be working in your architecture and construction industry as well. Holographic images can be helped to see you a true 3D vision or a 3D visualization of a building on a real estate architecture. If you are living in UA, you might have witnessed that you have big and tall buildings, like real estate industry is booming there. So to market them, they create 3D visualizations, they create 3D images so that they can market their product. So holograms can be created with example of 3D softwares, but the advantage of that is that you do not necessarily need all of the material to create that building. You can simply use computer aided design softwares so that you can create an illusion of a building to make sure that it should be looking like this. So hologram is also used in your architecture, it is used in your security measures. It Now this 13.9. Now holographic data storage is let me check the syllabus as well. This is in new and emerging technologies. Your syllabus says that you should be knowing about the types of your NFCs. That's done. USG is done, artificial intelligence is done, augmented reality is done, virtual reality is done, robotics is done. This is also done. This is also done. Holographic and fourth generation optical data storage. Okay, I'm only going to discuss regarding the data storage here. The use of light to store data is very a common phenomena these days. Optical storages uses basically light to burn your data into reflective surface. Like you can take the example of a CD. On the back of a CD, you have a reflective surface, and you use laser light to burn your data onto the back of that. That means that we use reflective properties of light to read their data from the reflective surface. The concept of optical storage is also the underlying principle behind the holographic data storage, because in this holographic data storage, with the help of a laser beam, we are able to store data into that. You should be just be clear regarding the basic concept and just skim these titles through taking data into space. Next is 3D printing. The 3D printing is very common these days. You have a difference between 2D and 3D printing. 3D printing is that when you have three axes, X axis, Y axis, and Z axis, and now you want to create your solid object with the help of plastic, ceramic, or powdered resin. You can use a 3D printing that can create a 3D model. They are increasingly developing in our society, and to create a 3D model, you can take the help of a computer aided design software that can help you create these 3D models, like let it be a car, let it be a shop, or let it be anything. The data could be used to that it can be transmitted to a 3D printer, and the 3D printer is used to create these objects. So can you identify me some of the advantages and disadvantages of a 3D printer?
Uh, okay, 3D printer.
Just a simple guess, like what would you think?
Advantages of 3D printers.
Yes, 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 exactly.
We can have models created,
Okay, and
and it would help companies and businesses if market.
देखो सबसे पहला एडवांटेज तो उसके अंदर ये है कि जिस स्पीड के ऊपर ये 3D ऑब्जेक्ट्स को प्रिंट करेगा, उसकी स्पीड और उसकी जो एक्यूरेसी है वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा आपके पास तेज़ है कंपैरेटिवली। आप पूरे प्रोडक्ट को रॉ मटेरियल्स के साथ बनाओ, मतलब 3D प्रिंटर इज गोइंग टू गिव यू अ फिनिश्ड इमेज लाइक व्हाट इट शुड बी गोइंग टू लुक लाइक। 3D प्रिंटर जो है इट इज गोइंग टू कंसिस्टेंटली क्रिएट द सेम प्रोडक्ट, सेम मॉडल वो आपको बना के देगा कंसिस्टेंसी के साथ। इट हैज़ द कैपेबिलिटी ऑफ फ्लेक्सिबल when creating complex models. Maqsad flexibility means that if you have some spaces, gaps, or cavities into your solid parts, it can work with great accuracy. Another advantage can be that though it is expensive, but just imagine it yourself कि how much millions of rupees it would take if I just create a building just for the visualization process. लेकिन अगर उसका मुझे मॉडल बनाना हो to make it कि किस तरह से वो बिल्डिंग मुझे नजर आएगी, तो आई कैन यूज अ 3D प्रिंटर कंपेरेटिवली दैट उसकी कॉस्ट काफ़ी कम है। मेरे पास एक विजुअलाइज्ड मॉडल मेरे पास आ जाता है। डिसएडवांटेज आपके पास क्या क्या है? इट बिकम्स मच इजियर टू बिल्ड डेंजरस आइटम्स, और एट प्रेजेंट 3D प्रिंटर्स को हम दे आर अच्छा, डिसएडवांटेजेस के अंदर ये है कि इजी तो है 3D प्रिंटर से किसी भी आइटम को जनरेट करना, लेकिन आपके पास सिक्योरिटी और फ्रॉड के रिस्क आ सकते हैं, क्योंकि एक ही आइटम अगर हर 3D प्रिंटर प्रिंट करेगा तो उसकी रेप्लिकेशन हो सकती है। इट हैज़ बिकम easier to build dangerous and corefied items as well, which causes great security and fraud issues। like एक पॉइंट जो मैंने कहा, और एक पॉइंट ये भी है कि फॉर एग्जांपल if it is a key of any door, that could also be created if you have that exact structure with the help of a 3D printer। तो हमारे पास सिक्योरिटी के इश्यूज आ सकते हैं। Right now 3D printers are only capable of creating small items। डेवलपमेंट उसके अंदर हो रही है so that they can create even more bigger items। 3D प्रिंटिंग जो है तेजी से रिड्यूस कर रहे हैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जॉब्स को, जिसमें जो लेबर्स होती हैं वो मैन्युफैक्चर करती हैं प्रोडक्ट्स को, क्योंकि सारा काम प्रिंटर्स के थ्रू हो रहा है, कंप्लीट ऑटोमेशन की तरफ हम जा रहे हैं। 3D प्रिंटर डेफिनेटली रिक्वायर्स अ हाई लेवल ऑफ एक्सपर्टीज, नॉलेज एंड पावर कंजम्पशन एज वेल। जो अच्छा, इट ऑल्सो रेडिएट्स हार्मफुल emissions as well। So that's it for the 3D printer. Now the next part is your bespoke prosthetics. Now the application of 3D printer has definitely increased the usage of that in medical industry, because it is providing with much flexibility and creating an easier way for humans to live. Like I gave you the example of prosthetic limbs. Now prosthetic limbs can also be an example of a robot, and in creating that we can also use a 3D printer as well. A 3D printer can be used to generate them layer by layer, layer by layer. We have 3D printing in a space as well, like as a storage space in a rocket is limited. A limited number of items can be taken into space, but if I carry out the 3D printer, I can print any item that I require. I hope I'm clear to you. I'm actually not getting into every little detail of that because it is not a part of your syllabus. Your syllabus says that you must be knowing regarding the types of that, and that's it. So as far as I'm telling you, that's more than enough. Like when I'm going to ask you, you should be able to reply me, yes, sir, these are the advantages, these are the disadvantages. So now let's discuss your vision enhancements. Vision enhancements is one of a field of technology which can restore your vision. Like we have one of our five senses to those who have lost it. Vision enhancement is normally provided in the form of types of glasses or lenses that can stimulate the visions that are entering through your human eyes and filter them into a person's vision. The ultimate goal of this vision enhancement is to be able to provide blind people with images of their surroundings so that they can work and enjoy themselves. So this is one of the recent development in this field to provide those people who are vision impaired with the vision enhancement capability that could be used to enhance their vision into all situations. The advantage of your vision enhancement is that it can improve the vision of those with limited or poor vision, which can provide them a better quality of life. It can also improve the vision of those who are colorblind, which allows them a greater scope of colors, and it can also improve their visibility in the scenarios as well. The disadvantages can be that technology involved is quite expensive and the use of night and thermal vision devices is limited and illegal in some countries. This is an example of a night vision goggles. Wearable computing. The last title. A wearable computing can take many different forms. One of the most common items of wearable computing is a fitness tracker. You can witness a stop hand wristwatch, or you can connect it with your mobile phone. You might have witnessed this different types of people wearing these gadgets so that they can control their heartbeat, they can control their different levels like oxygen level into their body. Wearable computing, this basically refers to clothing or accessories that have a form of computer-based components embedded into them so that they can include the conditions of your body. However, there can be again some advantages and disadvantages. Advantages can be that it provides you with the statistics of your body, such as your mental health, your ability to improve. Users can definitely sync their fitness devices together and can encourage each other. It can also aid communication by allowing alert or messages or text emails or phone calls that can be integrated. Disadvantages can be that users might become too much obsessed with their health statistics, and there could be some compatibility issues as well. The accuracy of these trackers might be not always correct, And some people are concerned about the security of their data that is gathered by these wearable devices. That's it. I think one of the title of your syllabus is completed. The next title that we need to discuss is the impact environmental. Oh, the chapter is completed itself. Now, you need to do one thing, that you need to go through this chapter one by one, and you need to take into account two important things. First of all, you need to understand that what do you understand by the specific technology. Your concept should be clear. Your advantage and disadvantage should be clear, and what do the impact of that certain technology should have on your individual lifestyle, organizations, medicines, healthcare, scientific research, and environment. That's all that you need to go through in this chapter. Acha, don't just go into the every little of the detail. Like, for example, I was अभी discussing विजन एनहांसमेंट, तो विजन एनहांसमेंट में उसमें कुछ बता रहे थे कि ब्लू रे वायोलेट लाइट्स होती है. डोंट जस्ट गेट इनटू दिस डिटेल, बट यू शुड बी knowing that what is the impact and types of that. So we are done with this chapter. Do you have any queries?
Nice, sir.
Medicine, healthcare, prosthetics, medical products, artificial blood vessels, साइंटिफिक रिसर्च जी अपने पास बेटा एक दफ़ा देख लो, फिर नेक्स्ट क्लास में आई थिंक वी नीड टू स्टार्ट न्यू चैप्टर.